Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dream Oracle for You. I am your host, and as always, I have my most amazing co host on the line, Biljana. Although she's joining us from her car today because of internet issues. So hopefully, everything goes well for today's episode. This is another milestone episode for us. This is episode 30. And of course, we have a wonderful and very special guest today, also a Sarah Xanthos. And I look forward to hearing more about her in a few minutes. Biljana, as always, I'm just going to ask you to please welcome us to the episode.
Yeah, welcome. It's a bit of an annoying thing to be in the car, but you just got to go with it. And last week, the internet just kept dropping out, so I'm just going to go somewhere different, and yeah, that's what happens when you live in the country. So yeah, you just got to go with it. But yeah, I'm excited about this. Like Sarah and we met. When was it? February? Is it February? Yeah, we met at a women's festival, Bohemian Summer Festival in Biljana in Victoria. So that was awesome. And I actually went to one of your workshops the previous year. So I listened to, yeah, so I already had a feel of like what you're about. And so I thought, oh, this year I'll get in touch and
awesome.
yeah, have a chat. And so yeah, it was really good to meet you and yeah, get you on board and hear what you have to say about everything, not just dreams, but what you're about. And I did a bit of a sneak peek on your website, and you've written a children's book with your
Yes,
daughter.
that's right.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear about that because we're in the process of writing a book as well for kids.
Two books. Well, yeah, one
Yeah,
for kids and
two.
one for.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah. So,
cool.
yep. So it would
I'll have to
be
give you
good to
some
get some
tips.
ideas. Yeah. Yep. So
Yes.
yeah, really excited. So if you want to introduce yourself and yeah, we'll just let the conversation flow and you can talk about whatever you like. We're pretty
Yeah.
open.
Amazing. Oh, well, we're going to be here for some time then. So hi, my name is Sarah. I'm another country girl. I'm from Australia, Victoria, a little town called Wallan, hence the name of my company, Wallanhealingtree. Yeah, Billy and I got to meet at the Bohemian Festival and we got chatting and that was it. It was off. And yeah, really felt the vibe. You guys are doing some really cool stuff. Obviously, I've had a bit of a research on your podcast. It looks so amazing. And I just love what you're doing. Just really promoting all these really cool people out there. So, sorry, my eyes are a bit stingy at the moment, so I might need to try it. Allergies at the moment in Victoria. So a little bit about me. I have a little healing center in this country town. It's a little booming center that we do meditation, we do energy healing, we have an energy healing school here. And yeah, pretty much that's the main focus of what we do at Wallen Healing Tree. But I wanted to come on because we were having such a good conversation at the Bohemian Festival about dreams and how they can be quite psychic at times. Yeah, so that was why I wanted to come join you guys. Excuse my eyes. I think I've got a bit of hay fever at the moment. Oh,
No worries.
sorry.
Oh, we're so excited to have you on. And we haven't talked a whole lot about psychic dreams on the podcast yet. So I think
Yeah.
we've kind of touched a little bit, introduced the idea of prophetic dreams, which I
Yes.
maybe we can start there. Would you consider a prophetic dream and a psychic dream to be like the same, under the
Yeah, we're
same
in the right
umbrella? Yeah.
spot on. Yep,
Cool.
spot on. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Look, I know that we just started to have that conversation. It was really fun because we found dreams are such a strange area, aren't they? So many people don't have much information about what's happening, and so much confusion comes around them. And they're always symbolic. So it really throws people. And I don't believe that every dream is some sort of focus or prediction into the future. Absolutely not. But I do believe that our dreams can teach us so much in our waking life, and it can really help us process so much of what's been going on in our waking life. But occasionally, just occasionally, there can be some dreams that can possibly predict or foretell certain things that might be coming up. And I know that for a fact because I get to see it in my job. I work with clairvoyants, mediums, psychics every day. I'm so blessed. And these clairvoyants and psychics and mediums and clairsentience, you name it, they are coming up with the most incredible, profound dreams that are providing the collective information, but not just that, themselves. Yeah. So that's something that we really started to jam on in that conversation. So we thought we'd bring it to the camera.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And sad I missed out on the fun. Honestly, since knowing Biljana and some of the other guests that we've had on the podcast that are also from Australia, I feel like I'm missing out. This stuff doesn't happen like that, at least not where I'm in the area that I'm in. It doesn't seem like we have these sorts of things. So
Oh,
anyway,
really?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the
well,
community, at least I've not found the tribe. If anybody in
yeah.
Halifax is listening to this and you are into these sorts of things, please reach out.
I have some friends in Canada. I'm not sure how far away you guys are because I have no idea about the locations, but I'll have to hook you up because they're amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, Canadians in general are amazing, but I just haven't
Yeah.
found the tribe of awake people yet.
Yeah. But now you can just borrow Australia.
Yeah. Yeah, the timing is a little challenging sometimes, but it could be worse. What's really hard is when you have Australia, Canada, and the UK, and you're trying to coordinate for
Oh,
for three. That's where the real challenge comes in.
right. Yeah, absolutely. It would be. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's great that you guys are doing this. Even though you're so far apart, it doesn't matter. Time and space does not need to matter. You can actually make this work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like we've kind of hinted at, I mean, this whole podcast has inspired not one, but for us to be writing two books, just
Wow.
from everything that we've learned and that we want to be able to put it in a nice little package to then really put out there. Maybe somebody can't listen to 30 episodes, but they can read, 100-page book or something.
Absolutely, because everyone learns different, don't they? Some people will need to have pictures on a screen or a video to really take in information, and some people really need to read the content or, feel into it or actually have an activity. So, yeah, you're really getting out there and sharing your message in different forums. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Very cool.
absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Once you're aligned with what you want to do and what feels right, it just flows, doesn't it? It's not hard work. The next thing just pops up and then the next excitement pops up and then you just keep following the excitement.
Yeah, 100%. It's always exciting and it never feels like work, which is the best
Yeah.
part. Yeah.
Spot on.
Yeah. Great. So where should we go with
Here you
the
go.
dreams? Oh no, sorry, Biljana. I was just
No,
gonna
I was going to ask because we always kind of start with just the basic question like, what do you think dreams are? Because everyone's got different interpretation, so it's
Yeah,
good to just get a baseline, and then we can go from
absolutely.
there. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what do I think dreams are? I think dreams are a lot of different things. As I mentioned before, it's they're always symbolistic. They're I think there are dreams where there's a certain amount of information that has popped up throughout the day in our human brain, our machine brain. It really needs to process that energy. It needs to process and sort of have an outlet to play it out and be able to just sort of clear that energy throughout our brain. And I think that dreams really help us do that. I think when we're asleep, we're able to sort of disconnect and sort of play out those different scenarios that we couldn't do in our reality, in our physical life. Then there's the other concept as well. I'm probably going to go too deep on this. So if you ask a psychic to come on and do this, you're going to get these answers. But I also believe that dreams are very much not what we have, always thought they are. I think the physical life that we live is the dream. And I think that when we actually disconnect and go quite deep into REM sleep, I think that's when we're starting to connect in with different dimensions and starting to connect in with possibly our soul and having that time to reconnect and with our soul team, etc. So yeah, I warned you it was going to get a little woo-woo.
No, 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 it's not woo-woo. We've covered all bases. Go back and watch, what is
Good.
it? Episode 21, we talk about the
Oh, good. I'm not
multidimensional.
popping the woo-woo cherry. That's
No,
good.
no, we've popped it. It took us a little bit to get there, but we've popped all the
Oh,
cherries now.
good. Excellent. I'm glad. I'm glad.
So
But
don't
yeah, I
Well,
hold
I
do
back.
believe.
suppose, yeah, I suppose we kind of wanted to get more of an understanding for ourselves,
Yeah.
so we could like explain it to everyone else. But like
Sure.
we're always evolving and learning. Like even when we spoke to Becky Barron about dreams, and she says it's just your heart having a conversation with yourself. So,
Yeah.
and you don't even have to like think of it as in dimensions or your higher self. It's
Yeah.
just you're connecting with your heart,
Yeah.
and
I love
so
that.
that's why dreams are so personal and
Yeah.
specific to you because of your experiences. So even if you just keep it that simple, you can
Absolutely.
expand on it more. But if you just got that baseline, and that's helped me to just
Yeah.
keep it simple because that's how I like it, nice and simple.
Yeah. Yeah. When it comes to outside of this physical reality, I find that things have been really overcomplicated in our industry. But when we tend to really complicate things in this physical reality because we've got the brain and the instincts and all of the programs and the beliefs and all the things that are entwined into having this physical reality that it's really complicated, it's really challenging, it's really emotional up here and on this plane. But when we go back home, real home, I think we touch on it in our dreams. I really do. I feel like we touch base with home and we sort of find from a spiritual point of view, um, a baseline and be able to process what we've learnt here on this plane. Because I truly believe that we are spirits having human experience. And this is borrowed cells, this is borrowed avatar. And we're learning, learning, learning. That's the whole point of this existence, to truly learn more about ourselves. And when we dream, we come back in, we tap back in with our team, and we let them know all the things that we've learnt. Now, I don't think that dreams as such reflect the spiritual experience that I'm talking about here. I think there is a component of the human brain needing to process. So there's two parts of this. And I think it's got something to do with when we're going deep into REM and when we're sort of dreaming to a lighter level, I guess. So that's my opinion. That's what I've come up with. Who knows if I'm right? We won't really know until we pass over, but isn't it fun to have a think about it and play with it?
Oh, absolutely. That's like what every
Yeah.
episode's about with this podcast
Yeah.
is with just to
Yeah. No one
explore
really
different.
knows.
No, no, we could all just have it completely wrong, you know. It
And I'm
doesn't.
cool with that.
Yeah, but and there's just so many there's so many experiences that you have not just in your waking life, but in your
Yeah.
sleep life when you're dreaming. The experiences that you can have is just absolutely phenomenal
Yeah.
and massive the amount of information that you can process and go through. And we've talked about on this podcast before, but I've had flying dreams. I've had like full on out of body type experiences,
Yes.
feelings of like something trying to take over my body, which is a little
Oh, that's fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
a little out there. It's
Yeah.
and it's really fascinating, and we love dreams.
So I have some theories around that if you're interested in hearing.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I teach my children this because I've got little psychic medium children, which is a lot of fun in my house, that's for sure. And you can imagine the stuff they're tapping into, especially in dream state. So this information came to me in what I call a download, a lot of my information as a channel. So I didn't actually introduce myself as a channel before, but I'm actually a channel. So we all are channels. We all connect in with our divine information, but that's basically what I do as a full-time job. If it's in a healing process or if it's in a transformational coaching process, I'm channeling and you channel every time you find you're in the flow. It's just I've made it a full-time job. But basically, when I went off on a tangent, didn't I? But basically, when we're channeling, we're sort of connecting in with information and downloads of information come through. So this information I'm about to share came through in a channel. Um, so basically what my channel let me know was that we are all made up of energy and vibration. I'm sure that you've probably discussed this at some point in the podcast, but I'll give you my little 2 cents on it. And our vibration that we're at, it can be a really high vibration or it could be a really dense vibration. So anything that you can think of, anything in the waking life that you can think about is energy and vibration. So when I'm thinking of love and compassion and joy and excitement and all the good stuff, it's a really high vibration. Okay. And if I'm feeling fear and anger and resentment and guilt and shame and all those things, it's a really dense vibration. Now, the thing is, when we're on a vibration, we connect to a frequency no different to a radio station. So if you're tuning into a radio station that's on fun pop music, that's a really high vibration. We're only going to get more due to the law of attraction because we're on a frequency. Like attracts like. Okay. And same goes with that fear. If I'm on a fear frequency and I'm on a horror station, hearing horror stories, I'm not getting fun music, I'm getting horror. That is the frequency I'm on. Now, a lot of your listeners will probably already know this, some of them won't, but this is a really interesting concept because it really relates to how we dream. If we've had a really rough day, one of those days where everything's gone wrong, we've felt frustration, anger, resentment, you name it, every yucky feeling has come up, we're on a frequency and our day would have turned to absolute crap. Let's be real about it. Yeah. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. We've all had those days and hopefully not too many of them, but we've all had those days. It's a
That was
frequency. We're
me.
just,
Yeah, that was me yesterday.
it was you yesterday. Oh no.
Yeah, first thing in the morning, and then I didn't sleep well. So
Yep.
yeah,
Oh, okay. My theory
yeah,
might come into practice here. So with those particular days, we're on a frequency where like attracts like. So we're going to keep attracting more of the fear, shame, guilt, all the yucky, low vibrational stuff, because that's what we're attracting. It's not like the universe or the quantum field or God or whatever you want to call it is trying to punish you or trying to send you more lessons so much. It's just a frequency. It's science. It's more science than anything, which is kind of cool. So let's talk about this. You go to bed that night. Billy, you would have went to bed that night and you were feeling crummy. You were having a really shitty day, let's be real. And all of a sudden, you're in a really dense frequency, a really low frequency when you're in your dream state. We call those the lower astrals, and you may know them as nightmares. Okay. And it's worth having these discussions because when we're on a frequency, we just match, even in our dreams, we match those particular frequencies. And this is what I was talking about with different dimensions that we can visit at times. So when we're having this nightmare effect where we're maybe having some paralyzed senses or we're seeing some really scary stuff, we're in what we call a lower astral. And I don't want this to be a fear-based thing. It's actually, you've got a lot more power than you think. And if you ever wake up in a nightmare, that is a really, really good thing. When I say wake up, I'm talking about becoming lucid. So, oh my God, I'm dreaming right now. This isn't really happening. Oh, fantastic. You have all control back. You have all the control back. Nothing can scare you, harm you, affect you without your permission. It's some sort of law we don't understand, but it is real. It is true. So you can actually call your power back and just decide that monster turns into a little frog. Right there and then, you have all the power. Or I'm just going to fly out of this dream and off I go. But you need to be able to raise your vibration to receive, to be able to access the next frequencies. But by just having that lucidity, I think I'm saying that right, and being able to be really aware of it, you can actually snap right out of that and pull yourself into your empowerment. So just a quick one on this one. I don't know if this is going to help anyone, and it's cool though. My children were having really, really bad nightmares. They were really, really struggling. They kept going to the lower realms, I call it, and seeing all these terrible boogeymans. And I said to them, you've got all the power, guys. So before you go to bed, if you're having a rough day and you think that there's a chance you might be on a low frequency, how about we just decide right now, permission based, where you're going to travel to, where you're going to dream to. So we made up this little saying and they've memorized it now. It's so funny. It's goes something like, I do not give permission to go to the lower realms. I only give permission to play in the higher realms where I have fun, joy, contribute, and heal. And I call upon my guardians to watch me as I sleep. And we put a pyramid of white light around ourselves and off they go. And you know what? Something crazy. They never have nightmares.
It's
Just saying.
beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And first of all, I want to comment just on just your way to communicate and convey your messages and what you want to share. It's so clear, it's so engaging, and I really appreciate that. So super
Thank
excited
you.
for where the rest of the conversation is gonna go.
Who
And I
knows?
and I love that you brought up about nightmares. I like calling it the lower astral realms. I never really thought
Yeah.
of it like that before, but I like that connection to it being frequency based. And
Yeah.
we've talked a little bit about nightmares on the show. We've also kind of breached the subject of night terrors, but without really any sort of it was more just in broad strokes. We didn't really have any sort of, concrete information to give on that. But I
Oh,
feel that you're kind of touching on that with the
yeah,
frequency of things. And then the
absolutely.
fact that you have this sort of nightly routine and intention that you set with your
Mm.
children before going to sleep is really powerful, because that's something we talk about a lot on this podcast, is the power of intention. And
Yeah,
that's not just with dreaming, that's like everything in life. It's where our power comes from, is through our
absolutely.
intention. And yeah, so I just, it's beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love to chat. So
Maybe
that
it's a Sarah thing.
it's definitely a Sarah thing. Every Sarah I know loves a good chat. So
Yeah.
oh. So I'm just gonna fix my eyes up because this hay fever in Australia is killing me. All right. So you mentioned it's funny, every time I go to say this, I forget the word, forget what it's actually called. Sleep paralysis. It
Yeah.
just leaves my brain every time. So did you want me to discuss that? Do you want me to go into that area? Because I can if you'd like. It depends on where
Well,
you want to go with this.
I was bringing up specifically night terrors and not sleep
Night
paralysis,
terrors,
which
yes. Yeah.
to me they are somewhat different, because sleep paralysis, we actually explored that with Rachel Vaughn a couple
Oh,
episodes ago, where
yeah.
it's potentially darker forces and entities that are interacting and causing that.
Not always, but yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So maybe we'll come back and hear your
Yeah.
take on that. But night
Yeah.
terrors in particular are just, a more extreme nightmare and it typically occurs in children where, they
Yeah.
can just wake up screaming, or they end up being in a sleepwalking state where they don't really know
Yeah.
where they are. And I know
Yeah.
my niece-in-law, she experiences night terrors on
Yeah.
almost a daily basis. And one of the
Okay.
things that we did at Christmas was I was talking to my mother-in-law about the Dream podcast and talking
Yeah.
about, the power of intention, and just having that positive outlook, because what you think and feel during the day translates into your sleep. And so she started to have more positive interactions with her, like before bed, and getting her to think,
Amazing.
like
Yeah.
thinking excited about Christmas, because Christmas was coming, and just all of these positive things that were
Wow.
coming.
She was changing the frequency.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so for a couple days she didn't have any of those
Yeah.
night terrors. But I don't know what goes on, outside of that. But it just, why is it that kids in particular seem to not necessarily be attacked, but more susceptible to having lower frequency? Because when I think of a child, I think of them as being pure and innocent and
Yeah. Yeah.
naturally at a high vibration.
Absolutely. So really, really big question. And I'm
Yeah.
going to do my absolute best to not waddle on too much, but this is a really important question as well. Uh, a lot of my teachings is around working with fear. Okay, so this is very, very important. And I'm going to have a really different perspective on it to many of your other guests or viewers, but it's downloaded information that's been really, really important in my practice. So that's going to thread through in the answer here. Okay. So, first of all, children come in extraordinarily high vibrational. Their natural state is very high vibrational. And that's what you're touching on. Like, why are they struggling when they're so high vibrational? It's true. They come in and all of our vibration naturally, the natural state is to rise. It's not something that we really need to go and try to achieve or work up to so much. It's a natural state. So if you think of we come into this world like a helium balloon, and the natural state of the helium balloon is to just rise. And that's why kids are, especially before the age of 5, I notice, they are just so liberated and silly and fun and joyful, and they just don't have any of the baggage, and they're just living their life. They don't live in the past, they don't live in the future, they live in the now. And they don't carry all the luggage unless they're having some pretty traumatic situations. Obviously, that's a different situation. But their natural state is to be quite high. However, when life starts to get in the way, once all of a sudden they're starting school, they're learning that they've got limitations and they've got, maybe they're not good enough in this and maybe they're having a hard time. All of a sudden, their balloon starts to get a little weight. Okay, and it drags down the vibration. And then all of a sudden, they've learned that they've compared themselves with someone else, Susie at primary school, and they're adding another weight. And then they've tried to have an emotion like anger, and they've been told that they're naughty for having that emotion. So they've trapped that emotion, and that emotion's weighed that balloon down again. And all of a sudden, this natural state of rising has been pulled down with all the weights that society's given them. Okay, this is a big subject. I'll try and squeeze it in. Here's the thing, it's not easy being a kid. It's not easy because children have got to learn. All of a sudden, they've been on this beautiful natural high state. And now they're learning that they're not good enough and they've got to suppress this and they've got to build this. And that's really rough when you're learning to be part of this world and the programs are getting put in and all of the beliefs are getting structured. It's weighing them down. And every time they receive one of those new weights, which they have to because they're part of this society and they've got to learn, they're dropping in frequency. Now, when they drop in frequency, they drop hard, they drop fast because it's one extreme to the other. So when their frequency drops, it drops hard, but it doesn't stay low for very long. That's the good thing. It sort of just goes up and down. But when they drop very, very low, very, very quickly. And that is when they are the frequency of the boogeyman or the density, all of those things. So I'm going to give you one more analogy. Is that okay? Because this might
Yeah.
really help your viewers really get this, because this is a really hard subject to talk about in an hour. It's one of those things. So I want you to imagine that you're an airplane, okay? And we want to imagine this little boogeyman, right? Nothing scary, guys. I don't want to promote fear in anyone because that's not what I'm trying to do here. But you've got a boogeyman here. And basically you've got this airplane. And the airplane, the altitude in this analogy is going to be frequency, okay? So the boogeyman's on a low frequency, a really dense frequency. If it was a scale from 1 to 10, it would be a 2. And then you've got your aeroplane, and the child is the aeroplane in this analogy. And basically, they're sitting at a 2. They're really having a hard day. It's been really rough. Their vibration's really low, and they feel the turbulence as they start to rise because they are able to detect the boogeyman on this frequency, and the boogeyman's able to detect them. Kids are amazingly more psychic than you can ever imagine. Most of them, anyway. It hasn't been built into them to not see them, feel them, sense them. It's really easy for them to be able to detect them. Anyway, so when their vibration rises, though, when they come into a more high vibrational frequency, all of a sudden something magical happens. The aeroplane rises and gets smooth. No more turbulence here. Things start to be a lot more better and they're having a great day again. Doesn't mean that the boogeyman doesn't exist anymore, but the boogeyman can't detect them and they can't detect them. They're on different frequencies. Another thing to think about this with is if you're watching TV, you might tune into the horror movies and watch a horror movie, and then you're like, oh, that's too scary. I'm going to raise in vibration and change the channel, and I'm going to watch a really funny channel. Doesn't mean that the horror movie channel's not playing. It's just that you're not the frequency of that anymore. You're now on the happy and fun channel and you're experiencing that. There's no difference to how we're experiencing our reality. And that is why children, when they drop really quickly, they can detect entities that I like to call them boogeyman, to really take the fear away. I actually work with my children on this a lot, and I really remind them that sure, there might be some things out there, and I'm really big on being honest with them, because when I was a kid, everyone denied that the spirits that I was seeing, the entities that I was seeing, weren't there. And that made it so isolating and scary for me, because I felt like I was all alone. I could see that they were real. I could see them in front of me. I was dreaming of them. I was having night terrors. And the fact that no one really believed me made it mean that I was all on my own. So if there's any parents out there that are struggling with children having night terrors, the first thing is just acknowledge them. Acknowledge that they're having this experience, because it's so real. It's realer than anything else you can imagine for them. Okay. So first of all, acknowledge it. And then let them know that they have all the power. We are made up of light, especially children. They are made up of divine light. And whoever is made up of light has the power. Okay. These beings, these poor beings, the boogeyman we're talking about, they lack love. Everything came from source energy originally, but they are so far attached from their source energy, their God, whatever you want to call it. And they lack love. So the only way they can feed is through promoting fear. That's the only way they can actually feed off energy. How sad is that? It's
Pretty
almost
sad.
like you start to have a bit of compassion over these boogeymen than being afraid of them. They have no power on us whatsoever. There's only one exception to that: when we give permission for them to have power over us. And that looks like, oh no, the boogeyman's going to come get me. We
Hmm.
forget our power. We forget how divine we are. We forget how protected we are. My children, when they start to see spirits, and they don't really see them very much anymore, basically what we do is this little activity where I get them to imagine that boogeyman comes in, right? And he's wearing a little tutu, and he looks absolutely ridiculous, and he slips on a banana, and then all of a sudden he's lost his credibility and he's not even scary. And then she starts giggling, and once she's giggling about it, the boogeyman's lost its credibility. It's no longer scary, and it sort of walks away embarrassed. See what's happened here? She's actually pulled her power back. And yes, fear will always be there, but if you can start to realize that there's nothing that they can do to us, absolutely nothing, and then literally there's nothing to be afraid of, and they usually disappear pretty quickly, because you've risen in vibration. The minute she started giggling, what happened to her vibration?
Up.
Upped. Now, how do we put this into play when it's a night terror though, and they don't know they're dreaming and they're really stuck in the dream? That's when the prevention is better than the cure. That's when we really want to set the intention beforehand and make sure that the children or adults, it doesn't matter, we're not just talking about children here, frequency is nice before they go to sleep. So if it means putting some nice music on, maybe writing down the worries and concerns before the night, just getting the frequency up, the intention itself's very important. I know that was long-winded, but I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, no, I think it did on so many levels. And, also other things were popping in my head as you were talking about, imagining the boogeyman with a tutu on or whatever is such a great analogy. And all I could think about is Harry Potter in the one episode where they have like, what is it, I can't even remember what it was, but this scary entity in the closet, and then the guy
Yes.
is getting him to like imagine a spider with like all of these like a clown outfit on, or something.
Spot on. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was another part where you're talking about um the light having all of the power, and again another Harry Potter reference where I
Mm.
don't know, I've got Harry Potter on the brain today.
Yeah. Hey, Harry Potter's got some really
Yeah.
good information, I'm telling you.
Yeah. And it was, I don't remember the exact phrasing. I know Dumbledore had said it, but he said something along the lines of, you know, if, oh, I can't remember the exact wording, but it's like being in the dark. And he's like, there's always something good to happen in the dark. All you have to do is turn on the light, or something along those lines. I totally butchered what he actually said, but
No, I get it though.
yeah,
Yeah, that's right. When children, and the another part of the answer to what you asked before, why children get so traumatized in these processes, their light is so bright.
yeah,
Their light is so bright. It's like a moth to flame sometimes as well. And when there is light, we shine light on the darkness, and we get to see what's already there sometimes. And that's a big one as well. So sometimes that could be why as well.
no,
Yeah.
no,
They've got so
awesome.
much love and light. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think, Biljana?
Good things, all good things.
It's all positive. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, do you want to share like maybe some of your dreams or like just
Yeah.
ways to help yourself, like rather than just kids, but just for yourself? Because there's a lot of adults walking around still as scared
Yeah.
children, haven't dealt with a lot of stuff. So,
Absolutely. Well, actually, as you said that, I really thought of a story that just popped up in my head I'd love to share. And I thought this might come up, so I've already gotten permission from my student that shared this story. But a lot of my students, they come in and they say, Sarah, I'm so afraid of really opening up my psychic gifts, my spiritual gifts, because once I open this up, am I going to be able to shut it down? I'm really scared of what I'm going to see. Is it going to be too much to handle? Is it a big responsibility to have, information about the future and onwards? This is a really big thing that comes up. There's a lot of fear around people experiencing psychic dreams. But here's the thing, most of us at some point will have a psychic dream. We will have a dream that will start to manifest into reality. Now, the chicken and the egg theory is really interesting here. I'm a huge believer in manifesting our realities. So, did the dream have some sort of power around allowing the manifestation and visualization of that coming into the physical world? Or was the dream predicting, was it prophetic, for example, and was it predicting that this was going to happen? So who knows? I don't think we're really going to ever know the answer to that one. Every single situation's a little bit different. So we just have to roll with that and be okay with that. But something came up with one of my students. She said that she's been having psychic dreams for quite some time. And she felt like most of the psychic dreams were fine. They were actually really, really helpful. So, for example, she would have dreams that she would meet a friend and that friend would need her. And then the next week she would see that friend and she hadn't seen that friend for like a year. She even had one that was quite intense where she had a dream that someone she knew was going to pass. But it wasn't terrible or scary or anything horrible because he had cancer and he was going through the process. And the wonderful thing about that dream was she was able to alert the family to go and visit him immediately and be able to say their goodbyes. And it was a lovely opportunity to really do something that they wouldn't have been able to do without that dream. And all of these dreams were coming through with inspiring energy. Like it was very, very, it wasn't scary, it wasn't confronting, it wasn't terrifying. It was just this beautiful, inspiring energy to move forward and help. And there might be some steps to take, but it was just a bit of a heads up. Now that's important. And then one day she had this horrific nightmare that something was going to happen to someone very close to her in her life. And it was going to be horrendous and scary, and there was terror and there was fear, so much so that she admitted she did not speak to anyone about this for a whole year. It was that terrifying. And she held that energy, scared, terrified, and it dropped her frequency to fear. And eventually she finally told me about the dream. And I said to her right there and then, anything divine, anything coming from your higher self, anything that's helpful will never be scary and fear based. Now, this is not a popular thing that I say, okay? Because a lot of people do get a lot of fear-based psychic information. But I've really made it my mission to explain to people that when our soul, when our higher self, when our team, our guides, our angels are communicating with us, they come in with this beautiful, inspiring, high vibrational energy. Sure, it may still alert you to future things that could have some intervention around, but it will never be horrific, scare, fear-based, horrifying, can't do anything about it, don't know when it's going to come, don't know which angle it will never be that if it's divine. If it's divine, it will always be loving and helpful and inspiring. And the minute I said that to her, she went, "Oh my God. That is so clear now because every psychic dream I've had has been compassionate and loving. And this one was a nightmare that was terrifying." And she was able to realize in that moment that it was her insecurities, it was the programs, it was the judgmental assumptions and stories that her brain had created in fear-based frequency that had drawn that, what seemed to be what a psychic dream, it was not a psychic dream. It was a fear dream. It was her brain trying to process all these fears that had come up due to watching a TV show about a child dying, and it had calculated to be this process. And she was able to really understand that this wasn't psychic at all, and that she didn't need to be fearful that something terrible was going to come her way. And she was able to put it to bed.
Wow.
So this is a really, really important thing. And I did want to mention it on your podcast, because if anyone is having psychic dreams where they are really starting to worry that they're going to have some information that they can't handle, you can be sure that your guides and your team will only give you what you need for your highest good and the highest good of everyone around you. Okay?
100%.
You don't need to be afraid of this.
Love that. It's
Yeah.
so true. Yeah. Yeah.
It resonates with me on so many levels, and definitely like some of my own thoughts that I've had as well
Good.
about just, even when you start to open up your intuitive abilities. I like to Psychics normally get, kind of a bad rep sometimes just in the
Mm-hmm.
mainstream and all that. So I like to just kind of emphasize it's our intuitive abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has intuition, so therefore everybody is psychic and has psychic abilities, but
Spot on. Yeah.
it's really intuition. And we're conditioned from a very young age to be left brain or the logical side of the brain dominated,
Yeah.
whereas you need the creative side, technically both, to be fully intuitive. So where
Yeah.
was I going with this? Yeah, I've lost my point.
Well, I mean, I think where you're going was we're tapping into, my friend was having a left brain kind of dream and a right kind of dream. So coming in with instinct versus intuition. Now, this is another really controversial thing I talk about, but that's where you're going with this, I think.
I
There's
like it.
instinct.
Let's just keep going on that wavelength. Let's go.
Okay.
We'll ride that wave.
Well, instinct versus intuition, it's confidential. It's controversial because it's new information that's come through, but I'm really solid on it. So basically what I've done a podcast on this, actually, so I can always give you guys a link to this one, but it's basically this information that came through about instinct. We all talk, a lot of us talk about follow your instinct, trust your instinct. Instinct's really important. It keeps us alive. It's really, really important, but it isn't always right. Intuition, however, is 100% always, always right. And I want to explain this a little bit, because a lot of people are like, what? What is she talking about? We need to understand this. Instinct is what we need to be able to come onto this experience in this physical reality and learn. So we talked a little bit about the child starting to get all the belief systems, the victimization, the stories, the programs built in. And our brain loves patterns. Our left side of the brain loves patterns. It wants to find the patterns from our ancestors. It wants to find the patterns from our friends, any lessons learned from other people. It wants to calculate all of that. It wants to put it into equations. If I do A plus B, it equals X. That's really comfortable for our brain, our left side of the brain especially. It's really logical. It makes us feel safe. And I think a lot of our instincts has been built based on that. So it's been based on learning by experience, our own experiences, our friends, our family, even on TV, even our ancestors. And also it happens on a real subconscious level as well, where we start to learn that this particular this bitter taste is dangerous for us onwards. So it's this instinctual. Now, this is not bashing instincts. There's no way I could have been the mother that I was being at the time, because I was not intuitively connected. I needed my maternal instincts to be able to keep my child alive. So this is not about instincts. Is a very important thing. It stops us from walking off the cliffs. It stops us from buying candy off strangers. It's really, really important. But when your intuition kicks in, when your intuition comes in, and it really starts to activate, and you start to channel your intuition, something happens. All of a sudden we're able to get this really important information, and that's the difference between my friend having those beautiful psychic dreams that were just full of inspiration and this easy energy compared to this horrifying terror, fear. That was instinct. This is intuition. And it's really, really interesting. So when a lot of my psychics that are learning from me, they are really understanding the difference, because instincts can get in the way. It seems like the human brain will be like, oh, I'm getting that gut feeling that that person's not to be trusted. But is it because in 2003, a man that looked exactly like that ripped you off? Or is it divine information dropping in and just inspiring you to possibly not make that deal? Instead, make this deal. That's the difference. When it's intuition, it inspires you in a lighter way to sort of go into a different direction. And when it's instinct, it's usually fear-based, and it's usually based on what you've learned in the past. Hopefully that helps a little bit.
Yeah, no,
Love that. Yeah, that's
was
cool.
absolutely. I just like I could just sit here and I just like I wonder what she's gonna say next. I just want to listen to you
I
all
don't even
night
know.
long. It's getting close to my bedtime, but like I could just sit here like way past midnight and listen to you, no problem at all.
Oh.
You might
Yeah.
have to come back.
Whenever you need, that's fine. I love to chat. So
Fantastic.
Well, I've heard it explained in a slightly different way, like the brain, the both sides, and
yeah.
also like the intuition and the instinct. There's like the masculine and the feminine.
Oh
So
yeah, I like that.
we've got both in us.
Yeah.
So whether you're a male or female, you've got masculine and feminine
Yeah.
energies. So like
Yes.
the feminine is more um loving, caring, just like because
Yeah.
if you're a mum, you've got that a natural innate capability, I guess. And then
Yeah.
the masculine is more action based. So it's like you got
Yeah.
to have both to live in this world. So
Spot
duality,
on.
that's why having light and dark is important. You can't just have
Yeah.
light because you're
Yeah.
not going to learn and grow. So it's not being scared of the dark, is to
Yeah.
embrace it.
Yeah.
So that's
Spot
but I
on.
like how
I
you
love
explain
that.
it like that, because it's just a different perspective. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
all of them can be accurate at the same time. And, we're only really, really seeing the peak. We don't really see what's underneath all the information that we're going. I often feel like I'm gonna, be sort of laughing when I pass over one day, because here I am thinking I was such a smarty pants and I knew all these things, and then I'm gonna pass over and be like, oh God, I had no idea. I knew this much, like this much, and there's really that much. But I was getting to it, like there was a little something there. But that's okay. Isn't that fun to learn from each other and to really explore this and not take it too seriously? But I think the most important message I can pass on today, and if you get anything from this conversation, your viewers, yourself, is that there's absolutely nothing to fear except for fear itself.
Yeah.
I know it's a corny term, but it's really accurate, because when we're going to feel fear, it's a human emotion, and every emotion is just as important as the other emotion. The anger, the fear, the joy, the sadness, the happiness, the peace, all of them are great. All of them are important. Some of them feel yuck, some of them feel good, but they're all important. And fear is an important one too. But it's when these emotions get suppressed and get sort of looked at like there's some sort of monster that needs to be thrown away, that resistance actually causes more energy to be put into it, and it gets bigger and bigger. So for example, if I feel anger, it's a good example, and I go, oh no, I shouldn't be feeling anger, I'm not allowed to feel anger. Feeling anger means there's something wrong with me. Okay, it's a program running in my head. Then all of a sudden I get angry that I'm angry, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden my anger is just bigger than me. And when it really should have just been a temporary emotion that could have passed and would have been quite fast to pass. And it was just showing me that there was a boundary that was broken, okay, in that time. I feel like this conversation is pointed at someone. Someone has some anger or something like that that's popped through. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. This is usually, if I go on a tangent, it's like, oh, this is important for you to hear. So please hear that. Know that your anger is just a boundary being put out of place, and that you are okay. It's okay to feel angry. What the problem is when you don't allow that anger to be okay, and that you make it mean something's wrong with you. That's there's nothing wrong with you. Sorry about that for going on a tangent, but going back to the fear base, the exact same thing happens with fear. We instantly panic about panicking. And we just get stuck in this whirlwind. I don't know if you've seen Inside Out too, but there's a scene where she starts having a panic attack, and it's because she's just lost that control of being able to, and she's feeling like she shouldn't be feeling anxiety, and then it just gets over her. Fear's the same. So if we can understand that fear is a natural, important emotion that passes, it doesn't have to overwhelm us. It doesn't have to hijack our brain. Okay. And we can come back and remember that we have all the power. The light has all the power. You put your protections, if you want to use a pyramid of white light or a ball of white light, whatever you want, you put your protections in place. You remember that there's nothing that you can't explore in your dreams, in your waking life, being in contact with maybe a spirit. You are in complete control. And that's what I want to leave you with. It's really important.
Beautiful. I like how like you've just I can't even explain it. Like one of the final questions that we like to ask on the podcast is there anything else on your heart that you would like the audience to know? And I think you just spilled it all out, unless you do have something else. But
that's my main message, honestly, that don't let fear overpower you. Respect it as an emotion that has just enough right as any other emotion that you have, and just acknowledge it. I've got a little bit of a technique we use. So we acknowledge an emotion that comes up, and then we allow ourselves to feel it where it is in the body. So where's my fear right now? It's usually in the solar plex, which is just on the top part of your stomach. You just put your hand there and go, okay, I feel fear. Hello, I see you. Instead of pushing it away and go, oh no, la, 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 I don't want to see it, I don't want to feel it, I don't want to know it. Instead, we're actually just going to be with it, feel it. And then once you've acknowledged it, given it the respect, you're going to allow it to release. And that's the part we don't do. We don't release it. We usually suppress it. But when we release it, it doesn't get trapped. Okay. So we don't have to be consumed by it. It doesn't have to scream for our attention like a child screaming for their mother. It can be like, oh, you noticed me. Okay, good. I'm just trying to keep you safe. Yeah, we're good with that. Excellent. Now I can go.
it's interesting because it's definitely something that I've been working on the last couple of years. And for the most part, I would say that when it comes to fear, that it's more manageable. But I actually had a situation this weekend where there was the fear just came up and there was just nothing I could do. And that was simply my cat went missing for like 15 hours. And I just kept thinking like, oh my gosh, if she doesn't come back, I'm not going to see her again. And like, she's with me all the time. And how can my life go on with, not that like my life go on, I'm going to, off myself or something, but it was like fear that she wasn't going to be there and that my days were going to be very different because she wasn't in it. And she did come back, but part of the management I have found with fear has been based upon when you're worrying about something, it's not that energy in worrying is actually just creating almost like this whirlwind that you talked about where you're just kind of perpetuating that emotion. But if you can focus your energy on something that you can actually control, because part of fear comes from the lack of control. I had no control when my cat was going to come back or if she was going to come back. But and I found like when I was out and I was actively looking for her, even though I wasn't finding her, just the fact that I was looking for her totally changed my mood completely around because it was what I can do and control in that.
Yeah, you're putting that energy into something that was helpful and moving forward. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Spot on.
She did come back.
Oh, thank God. But this is a really important point that you made as well, without going on another tangent, because I know we need to close up, but it's sometimes we can lose ourselves in these emotions because we put our past experiences or someone else's past experiences not just in our present moment, but in our future. We literally pick them up and we put them in our future and we create this entire story of how horrendous it's going to be. We create this whole visualization about how it's going to end up being this tragedy. It's going to be terrible. And we lose ourselves in the story. And when you break it down to fact versus the story, there's very little fact in the story. Yet the story, which is mostly fabricated, probably 99% of it is fabricated, right? Is where all that emotion whirlwind comes from. So when we drill down to this, all the emotion we're experiencing in that moment, that extreme, intense, horrendous emotion, is based on no facts.
Yeah.
Just story, fabricated story. So this is what we're doing when we're acknowledging the fear, respecting it as a temporary emotion, and we're allowing it to release. We're checking in with the fact. Okay, the fact is my cat has gone. That is the only fact that I have right now. That is all I know for a fact, black and white. Is there any emotion on that right now? Well, the concern comes with that story I created. The worry comes with the story of what if. But the fact that she's not with me right now has no emotional impact. I can go and do something about this now. I'm now going to put my action in place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was funny because when she came home, her tail was all up in the air and she was happy as can be. And it's like, hey, to her, nothing had changed. She was gone for like 15 hours, but it was as if
she's living her best life.
Yeah, pretty much. Although she came home smelling like musty old soil. So I think she must have just been hiding under a building or something in the dirt. But I guess she needed some time alone. I don't know.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. I'm sorry you went through that though, but
yeah. Well, it was an interesting experience because, I would say that I, for the most part, exist in a pretty high vibrational state, and that day was definitely a lower day. It was almost a write-off in terms of a day. Like, didn't even get a shower, nothing, not that I needed to tell the world that, but you just not in a good mental space, right? So,
and you know what? We're gonna have those days. We're gonna have days where I'm just gonna close this door because it's a little bit noisy. Bear with me for 1 second. So you're going to have days where you are going to have a low vibration and frequency, but those days are needed and really important because that's why we're here having this human experience. If you were playing Mario and it was just on a straight line and no big flower tried to eat you, no potholes tried to get you, it'd be a pretty boring game and Mario would never level up, would he? It would just be on a straight line. It would be boring. Yeah. But when we have these days and we have these really intense challenges, and this isn't to take the compassion away from how terrible days can be, because that's not what that's about. But without the challenges, without the scary flower monsters and the potholes and all the things, you can't level up in life. That's where the big lessons come from. So that day gave you And that day gave you an opportunity to really reflect on this conversation.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought a Mario analogy into it. And I can't help but think my mom from the other side didn't just kind of send that to you because as a kid, I used to play Super Mario and I would fall down the hole all the time, wouldn't be able to beat the level, and I would get so frustrated and all of that. And so just feel like that was just a little fun memory to pop in my head from
Most likely.
Yeah.
But it's just a really nice way. And when you start to realize that life is a game, it is a big school, it is part of the process. And who's playing the game? I just want to ask you that question. Who's actually operating the game? If you're Mario, who's operating it? The real you. And maybe that's where we go when we fall asleep and we actually go deep. We go back to being the player.
Yeah, absolutely. So well, and the more you become consciously aware and awake, we want to use that term, the more you get to actually play while you're here in this reality.
Yeah, gets a lot more fun.
Yeah.
When you start seeing the world as happening to you and through you rather than, when you start seeing the world happening through you rather than to you, I should say,
Yeah,
because that is the shift. That is the massive, massive shift when it's no longer the victim mode, which all of us are victims when we come in. It's part of the programming. But when we start to see ourselves as creating our own reality and really connecting in with those frequencies, we start to really take charge and get our power back.
absolutely. And then when we meet amazing people like you, lovely people, we get to co-create realities, and
How
that's
cool
even
is
more
that?
fun. Because, nobody likes to play just a single one-player game. It needs to be a
Yeah,
massive multiplayer game.
so much fun. So much fun.
Absolutely. Biljana, do you have any closing thoughts? You can
Just on what you were saying, Sarah, like when you have your off days, like specific example, like yesterday for me, I just like too much stress and it was just overloading. But I was like, well, I can let that take over my day and ruin it, or I can just go, well, I'm still gonna maybe feel a bit up and down, but I'm gonna go and do something that I enjoy, and so
Mm.
I'll go make some soap. So
Amazing.
yeah, so and it just kick started that, like getting out of that. And this morning I'm like so much better. I made two
Yeah.
batches of soap, and one was a disaster, and but it ended up being all good. So it doesn't matter, even if you're going through that process, allow it, but try
Yeah.
and do something you enjoy. Be kind to yourself.
I
So
love that.
because yeah, and it helps having a dog with you.
Oh, dogs are so
or
high
cat.
Yeah.
vibrational. Or
Yes,
okay,
or a cat.
animals in
Yep.
general. But what you did was in that moment, you followed your highest excitement. Now, when we say the word excitement, people instantly go, I don't really get excited about things. Well, hang on. Sometimes it's the difference between do I feel like an apple or a banana right now? Which one's a little bit more exciting? And this is Bashar's, this isn't mine. If anyone gets a chance to watch Bashar, from I think Daryl, I always forget his last name, but he's the channel for Bashar. This information's freaking amazing. And basically, he talks about this formula of raising your vibration. And it is phenomenal. It is something that I work with every day. And it's basically the first step is to start to look at what's at your highest excitement. So in that moment, making soap was going to pull you out of that vibration and it was going to be your highest excitement. And that's your soul, your intuition telling you this is the alignment. This is how we're going to get you through this. This is how we're going to get the process moving. So you followed that. You could have ignored it and went, no, I'm just going to sit there and like churn this together. Like I'm just going to really, you could have chosen that and there would be nothing wrong with that, but it would mean that you would stay in that frequency. But instead, you chose to lead with your highest excitement in that moment. Now, it goes a little further to that. He talks about the fact that you follow your highest excitement until it no longer feels exciting, and then you go on to your next one. So maybe after the soap, you were like, okay, I'm bored of this now. I'm going to go do this. And you follow the next highest excitement. And society tells us that we're not allowed to really do that. We've got to finish everything. We've got to make sure that everything is completed. But sometimes when you want to get yourself into alignment, following your highest excitement does this, leads you in one direction, then you'll go into another path, and you might find that you're rising and you're going into a different path, but it's very jig-jagged, and that's okay as well. But that's what you did. And what happened was you jumped up a frequency. And when you jumped up a frequency, you were able to start attracting more on that frequency of fun, joy, excitement. And then your day changed, didn't it?
Ugh, you
Yeah.
literally just like put words to my evening today. Where, got off work feeling a little low because my 3D job's getting a little boring. Don't tell my employer. And and it's funny, all day today, like I have my guitar in the corner and I haven't played my guitar in like so long. And random times all day long, like I would unplug my phone and the cord would hit the guitar and the guitar would make a sound. And no lie, something would hit my guitar in some fashion, or I would knock it several
Yeah.
times today. And so I literally said to my guitar after work, I was like, do you want to be played? Like I haven't played
Yeah.
you in a while. So something's telling me to play you. So I must have played for like 20, 30 minutes. I
Yeah.
didn't feel like cooking supper after I
Yeah.
was done work. I needed to eat something, but my fiance is gone for the evening, so it was just myself. I was like, oh, I don't feel like cooking food or anything. but I
Yeah.
play guitar, rose my vibration, and
Yes.
I didn't feel like doing my dishes either before all of this. So played
Yeah.
guitar, raised my vibration, set the dishwater up, put all the dishes in the sink so they could soak a while, and then just
Yep.
made the most beautiful pasta dish with all my
Perfect.
favorite things in it. And I like super enjoyed it. And I got my dishes done. I
Yep.
even meditated before this podcast. And it was just like
Interesting.
one thing after another was just like raising in vibration. So it was,
Doing this.
yeah. So like I said, you totally explained my evening today, which is great.
Spot on. Keep following your highest excitement till it's no longer exciting to the best of your resources.
Yeah.
Of course, my highest excitement right now is to go on a cruise and get massages. Right now, that's not really going to be extending my resources. And a lot of people ask me, Sarah, but if you're going to go by this as a life choice, does that mean that I'm just going to sit in bed and not move and just eat chips all day? Well, actually, is that a response to procrastination and not wanting to move? Is that more of a fear and anxiety response? Or is it your highest excitement? And if you really ask yourself, your highest excitement would have been to get ready for the day and go do something fun, not sit in bed. That's more of your response, a trauma response, or maybe a response to not wanting to face something. So that's if that question comes up, that's a really important one to discuss as well. But keep following your highest excitement. In fact, anyone listening to this is your cue today to just keep following the excitement all day long and see where it takes you. Just try it on like a pair of pants and see if it works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And like when you're saying follow your highest excitement or vibration, I like the analogy you gave with like an apple versus a banana because as long as you're moving up, it doesn't matter if it's like marginally, right? Like it's still going to be
It
rising
really
up.
doesn't matter. It when it comes to the science of vibration and frequency, some days I'm an energy healer. Every single day I do energy healing. I work. Oh, it's 11:11 by the way. Just checked the time. That's significant. So every day I need to be at a particular vibration and frequency for my clients. Healers, we're not healing anyone, but what we're doing is we're actually rising to a certain vibration so that our clients can resonate to that vibration like tuning forks. We're just glorified tuning forks, really.
Oh, I love that. That's
That's what we are.
fantastic.
So it's really important that we actually do run and we're able to be a clear channel for the energy to come through. Now, here's the thing. I'm a human being. I'm a mum of 3 kids. I've got the normal stuff going on that everyone else goes on. And, sometimes school mornings, it's like, get in the car, go. Like it's not always like high vibe. Yeah. So my kids and I, we do this little game. It's really dorky, it's hilarious, but it might resonate for someone. So feel free to take it. And the first thing we ask ourselves 3 questions, sometimes 4. The first question is, or it has to be authentic. That's the rule, guys, because you can think positive all you like. But if it's not real, it doesn't make an effect. And here's why. Our thoughts are important, very, very important, but not for the reason that you've probably been taught. The thoughts aren't sending out signals and changing your reality so much. It's the thoughts that affect the emotional state. Now, the emotional state, your emotions have signals. They are charged, they're energy in motion. So if you imagine that it sends out a signal just like Wi-Fi, this emotion, like love, it sends out this signal to the quantum field, universe, whatever you want to call it. And that's what sets the frequency, not the thought, the emotion that came with the thought. So it has to be authentic. That's why I'm not a huge, big believer in just random affirmation cards. I'm so blessed. If you're having a really tough day, if you said, I'm so blessed to yourself 3 times yesterday when you were having the shittest day ever, would that have made you more annoyed or felt amazing? Let's be real, yeah?
Would have just like thrown it out the window, like, what's that achieving?
And it's almost like this toxic positivity behavior that has, it's not helpful. But when it's authentic, when it's real, that's when something changes. That's why this game works, right? So I'll get in the car and I'll ask 3 questions and I'll be in the worst of the moods. I'll be like, I don't even want to play. You push through to actually start the game. And the first question is, what's something that I truly love in this moment? And most of the time it's, I love my kids, right? But if my kids are really playing up in that moment, I just want to keep it really small. So sometimes I really love my coffee right now. I'm really enjoying my coffee in this moment. Now that's so authentic. It's so real. Of course, I love my kids at all times. Just want to make that clear. But if I just want to get really specific, that love vibration doesn't matter if it's for my children, for the planet, for the earth, for my coffee. It doesn't actually matter. It's love. Love is love. So that love vibration bumped me up a little bit, bumped me up a level. Now I'm on a slightly different frequency. The next question is, what's something that I appreciate in this moment? Notice I didn't say have gratitude for. Appreciation's a little bit different to gratitude. Gratitude's something that you're sort of thankful is not the case, but appreciation is like, I've got this and I just want to eat it up. Like, this is amazing. It's a little bit of a vibrational shift. So I really appreciate right now that my family and I are safe in this beautiful warm car when it's raining. Something simple, okay? Or I appreciate that I've got petrol right now and I don't have to go fill up. Keep it simple. It doesn't have to be the big grand stuff. But the last question is the most important of all. What is something I'm excited about in this moment? And this gets so many adults. So many go, I don't have anything to be excited about. I don't have a holiday coming up. I don't have anything in particular. And I ask, well, hang on. If you've got nothing to be excited about today in this moment, then you get an opportunity to create something. And sometimes that looks like I'm going to go have a bubble bath when I get home from work. I'm going to sit down and watch Netflix with my partner or my cat or my animals or whatever. And I'm just going to love every minute of it because this new show's coming on and it's just going to be the best. It doesn't have to be anything in particularly exciting to the rest of the world. It can be just a little flicker of excitement in your heart. And that raises the vibration. But not only have you risen it 3 times now, 3 levels, you've also given yourself something to be aligned with to go forward into the day with. And that game, oh, it has been the difference between my children having the worst day ever at school to actually having one of their best days. It's been the difference between a new client having a wonderful experience to maybe a mediocre experience with me. So it does make a difference, and it takes about 1 minute.
Amazing. You are just a wealth of knowledge and wisdom and so much great advice. And, I was checking out your YouTube earlier and I was just curious by your student testimonies. And everybody
Oh,
had such great things to say about you and your energy. And I just echo everything that they said. Like, you are
oh,
an
thank
amazing,
you.
amazing person, and we're so lucky to have you on the show to share all your knowledge and wisdom. And I think we might have to come back because I feel like, or have you back. I feel like you have more dream insights to share in a future
Sure.
episode. So
We could go on all day long or night for you. But no, it's an absolute pleasure. You guys are amazing. You're doing amazing work. It's been an absolute pleasure being here with you today. And just keep up this work because the world needs light workers like you guys, and that might not be your intention in the spiritual side of things, but I think what you're doing is very, very important. You're starting to get people to expand their mind, open up, really get creative, and have that feminine energy come through of like really exploring these concepts. This work's really important, so I commend you on doing this work, and it's been an absolute honor being on here.
aw, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know what to say to that. I'm just like blushing, I think, if you can see it in the camera. I have a new camera, so maybe you can actually see the blushing.
Oh.
Well, Sarah, do you want to tell everybody how they can get in contact with you? All the
Yeah.
wonderful things that you have to offer. And
Yeah, sure, sure. So my website, I'll make sure that I give you guys my website. It's wallanhealingtree.com. Really simple. And I obviously, if you're in Australia, in Victoria, you can come see me, you can come have a chat. But I actually have a lot of online options for those around the world. I've just launched the Heaven and Earth self-healing technique, which is a technique that's just been born using Mylanta energy. It's profound and it's really great on clearing. So if you want to learn how to start to self-heal, and this isn't just about using divine energy and clearing with energy healing. It is a full course that goes through learning about yourself, learning how to clear emotions, beliefs, systems, programs, and then, really being your in-house process rather than always having to look externally for help. You'll start to get your power back. You'll start to learn how to actually do this yourself. And I think that's the most amazing gift anyone could have, to learn how to self-heal, because you are your own healer. No one heals you except for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, so there's that. It's called the Heaven and Earth Self Healing. It's available online completely at your own pace. That's one thing, and also online services. So I do distant energy healing, I do distant mentoring, chakra balancing, you name it. So, and there's lots of freebies that come out through the year with masterclasses. So look out on my website and my socials on Instagram, Facebook, and soon to be TikTok. I haven't learned how to use that yet.
Yeah, nor have I. Dream Oracle for You
Yeah.
has a TikTok, and we posted like 2 things, and that's it.
Me too. I can't work it out. But yeah, that's me, and yeah, happy to help anyone around the world with the distant process.
Ah, amazing.
And
Biljana,
my
do you?
podcast, I probably should tell my podcast, The
Oh
Healing
yeah,
Tree. Yes, I have a podcast. Yes.
fantastic. I didn't
Yeah.
realize you had a podcast.
Yeah, it's on YouTube under Wallen Healing Tree, but it's also on Spotify called the Healing Tree Hub.
Great. Well, we'll have definitely have all of that in the show notes for
Yeah.
our listeners. Biljana, do you have any closing thoughts before I wrap up the episode?
Just to say thank you very much for coming on, and it was so great to meet you and connect with you. And yeah, you're doing great things, and just your energy is just enough. Even if you weren't doing healing, just who you are is enough.
Thank you so much. That is so kind, guys. I
Yeah.
struggle with compliments too. Like,
Absolutely.
my turn to go red.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you again, Sarah. And most importantly, thank you to our listeners. We are so
Yes.
appreciative of all of the support that we've had for the podcast, not just from our guests, but also from our listeners. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show or like to see a topic for us to discuss, you can reach out through us through our website at dreamoracleforyou.com. We're also on various socials and whatnot. Check the show notes for the details. And of course, everyone, as I like to close out the episode, please just keep on dreaming.